everybody. I said it first before you said anything.
It was necessary.
It was not necessary. Welcome to Lesbian Talk, episode 114. Yay. Slowly increasing incrementally towards some kind of goal.
I'm not allowed to yay. The king of the potato people won't let me.
What?
The king of the potato people won't let me.
She's been really weird ever since she woke up. Right now, she's curled up in the TARDIS blanket on the couch.
I've been watching a lot of Red Dwarf. That's a reference to quarantine, and I'd hope that you would say something that I could lead into the next lines from the quarantine episode, but clearly you've decided not to.
I like potatoes. I do. You can't be in Ireland and not like potatoes.
Technically you can. It's not a crime.
Well, yeah.
Doesn't break the laws of physics.
Well, no, but...
You suddenly combust
Wait
if
a
you
minute.
touch Ireland and you don't like potatoes.
Hold on a second. You're like, it's not a crime. It's not like it breaks the laws of physics. Are you
These are
implying
two separate things.
that if you break the laws of physics, you'll be in trouble?
No, I'm suggesting that those are two different things.
I cannot break the laws of physics, Captain. Well, that's a good thing, Scotty, because if you did, I'd have to throw you in the brig. But anyway... I'm just, like, thinking, like, lads, like, hanging around, like, outside the pub. Like, because if you're in Derry...
Breaking the
on
law of thermodynamics.
On, like, a Saturday night, and it's, like, 1 in the morning, like, 1:30, and all the pubs have let out, and all the takeaways and chippies and everything are just packed. There's people, you know, out in the street, like, singing and walking around and screaming at each other and throwing things, and... You know, and the one guy's like, look at this, and he just, like, spins, like, you know, his key ring, but it keeps on going, like, it's a perpetual motion machine, and then the PS and like, all right, lad, give us that. They're, like, kneeling on the back of his neck and everything, and hold still. I don't know why, but anyway, so, yeah. So how are you doing, audience? How's your week been? Our week has been cold.
Omega's week has been fantastic because I... enigmatically yesterday sent her a text where I was like, you cannot stop me, I'm gonna buy you something shaped like a Blu-ray copy of Rogue One, I am invincible, I cannot be stopped.
Yeah, but see, instead of me, your autocorrect said new, so you can't stop new, and I was leaving the library about to go talk with my studies advisor, so I just sent back ? And then I put my phone in my pocket and forgot about it. And then towards the end of our meeting, he was like, oh, what kind of phone do you have? There's this really great podcast you might be able to add the app of. And I'm like, hold on, I have like 3 texts from my wife. He's like, is it serious? I'm like, no, I think we have Rogue One on Blu-ray. And he's like, oh.
Yeah.
This is the professor who may or may not have been in a photograph of him touching the Millennium Falcon and Melonhead.
But, yeah, I decided just... to walk across town and buy a copy of Rogue One for
No,
my life.
what happened was, in the morning, I said, alright, I'm going to stop at Tesco on the way home. You want me to get noodles? Because we had a whole entire discussion about getting Chinese noodles, and not udon noodles this time. And I was like, yes, remember, different noodles. She says asleep. I'm like, alright. So, I walk out of Tesco, and I come back, and I get and I come home, and I see that she has been to Tesco, got the exact same brand of noodles, except mine were the extremely fine ones. And I was like, you didn't think that I would get noodles.
You know, I completely destroy your claim there.
Mm.
I didn't buy those noodles at Tesco. I bought them in Iceland.
Well, still, you bought them somewhere, though. You said you went to Tesco, though.
I went to Tesco to get Rogue One. Because it was the closest shop I could think of that would have a new copy of it. Definitely.
You could have gone to my shop. We have it. For the same price as Amazon. Or for the same price as Tesco.
I didn't know that.
Well, but anyway, so that's that. And tomorrow we've got Guardians of the Galaxy, the double bill.
But more importantly than Rogue One, I got a copy of the fucking Void.
Oh yeah, by the Astron 6 people.
I don't think it's technically an Astron 6 film, but it's an Astron 3. Because 3 of them are involved.
That's good enough then.
Close enough, yeah.
We'll watch it and we'll see how that goes. And we discovered that 2 of my classmates are really keen to be notes takers for Hagen Reviews and to participate in backseat critiques, so...
Yeah, so you might actually see a couple of new faces turning up.
Some Irish people that you have never seen before.
We're like, oh, Omega, have you heard about this terrible film? It's amazing. It's called The Room.
Yeah, so in Experimental Cognitive, my friend was like, you look like the kind of person who might have seen it. It's this really, really bad movie. It's this terrible movie. It's called The Room. And I started laughing. I felt really bad. I'm like, have I seen The Room? Do you know what my wife does for a living? No. She watches bad movies and reviews them online. What is this? Yeah. And then she hadn't heard about Birdemic. I still think they haven't watched Birdemic. But, so, like, it was really interesting. But, like, look up Diamanda Hagen on YouTube. Just go on. That's what we do. This is our life.
You know, you saying Birdemic, that reminds me, I think someone has requested either a Baxter critique or a Hagen reviews of Birdemic.
Oh, fantastic.
And I cannot recall.
Let's get really drunk and then do it.
If you're listening to this and you requested that, please send me a message on Patreon so that I can be reminded, because I have a memory like a sieve.
Well, so you might see some new friends. And that's kind of cool. Get some new blood into the YouTube thing. So we were showing them trailers of, like, the kind of stuff you've reviewed. They're like, oh my god. And we're like, yep. Yeah. That's how it goes. And you're high-rolling. Not really.
Less high-rolling, thanks to the ad-pocalypse on YouTube.
See, it doesn't really affect me because I only made about $2 on YouTube since 2011. So, I mean, I hate to be flippant about it, but it doesn't impact me at all, so.
It's not damaging me massively because most of my stuff for reviews comes via Patreon. So, you know.
But for some people, it is pretty devastating.
Yeah. So, well, my POV is the only people that I have got to impress and keep satisfied are the patrons. Everyone else is just gravy.
Aww.
Oh, it's true.
You're the best gravy, though, audience. We love you. We love you.
Well, it's true. The patrons, they give money for certain videos. You know, they take hard-earned money that they have and they give it to me for those services.
That's a good point.
I've got to, and it's like, I got to make it worth their while.
I understand that.
But the YouTube one, yeah, my YouTube income, last time I checked, it was less than half it was a couple months ago.
Mm.
But, you know, it has almost been worth it to see a bunch of people who are incredibly into free market libertarianism getting really upset when the invisible hand of the free market smacks them about a bit.
Yeah, like, I work
like
with someone, and I'm just, like, can't convince them that, like, it's not censorship when a private company decides to do or not do something. Yeah. And his point is, like, no, it is censorship because they have to self-censor because people will get offended. And I was like, well...
That's called politeness.
Like, if a company does something that you find morally reprehensible, you're going to say something about it. You know, like, I mean, if tomorrow, like, I woke up to find that, I don't know, Marks and Spencer's have been killing small children in a third world country and taking their livers to freeze dry and serve, I'd be pretty appalled. I would be like, no, it's terrible. I will not spend money at Marks and Spencer's, and I will tell other people, and they won't spend money at Marks and Spencer's because that's horrible. Marks and Spencer's will be like, oh, we shouldn't have been killing children and feeding you their livers.
Your coworker's idea of what censorship is ridiculous. They're basically making it they would make it impossible for someone to choose to give money for something to not do it. They would make boycotts illegal. That's ridiculous. I
mean, you do get really, really hyperbolic situations, like the whole thing with Johnson & Johnson. That's why it's like Johnson & Johnson, a family company. Oh, no, it's SC Johnson, a family company.
I don't know this.
SC Johnson, it's a company. They make Endust and Pledge, and they make cleaning products and other sorts of... They make actually a lot of things, because they're one of those companies that started out really, really small back in, like, the 1800 times, and then became big, and then bought other companies and stuff like that. So there was some rumor started, like, their little logo, I think had, like, a moon in it. It was just some, like, logo, like, down-home, folksy kind of logo. And I think in the 70s or the 80s, someone Google it because I don't have my phone with me, there was a rumor started that there was a devil-worshipping sign, that S.C. Johnson was a devil company. And it got to the point where, like, they had to change their logo. They had to, like, you know, put advertising dollars to reassure the public, no, we just make cleaning products. And that's why their motto is S.C. Johnson, a family company. To this day.
Those are crazy people. But it's still not censorship.
No, it's not censorship, but what I'm saying is, like...
It's bad, it's just not censorship.
Like, obviously, they are not devil worshippers, but people at that time felt strongly enough the fact that, well...
Satanic panic.
Yeah, well, it was a satanic panic, but it's also the fact... I mean, you could say that today, like, if you say, oh, well, this company is anti-gay. And they're like, well, we're not anti-gay. If you stop and look at it, I know the rumors have been spreading online, but here are the charities we donated to for the past 10 years, stuff like that. Like, so it's the same kind of thing. It's like if your values don't align with a company, you could just stop buying their stuff, or you don't like the product. But then at a certain point, if it offends you that much, or it goes that far against what contrary to your values, you're gonna get more vocal about it.
Yeah.
And
people.
I could just not buy a brand that I don't like. I could buy a different brand. But.
And big companies, bizarrely, giant conservative companies, got a little bit upset at being connected, however tenuously, via ads to racism, to sexism, to homophobia, to a lot of other stuff. And now YouTube is basically, they're doing their bidding. This is a big company screwing you over. This is not, it's not censorship. It's almost as though capitalism is bad. Oh!
But you still have to spend money to get things. Otherwise, what are we going to do? Barter goats? I don't want to have to, go in. My boss is like, great job today. Here's an extra baby goat. A kid, that's what baby goats are called.
They didn't even do that under communism.
I don't want to barter goats.
I'm not
They
suggesting
smell.
that you have to do that.
I don't want my Christmas bonus to, have to be fed hay. You need to have money, and you need to give it... I mean, even primates in captivity, once they get onto the idea of a token economy, they're on that...
Honey, the Soviet Union had money.
Yeah, but you...
I'm not even suggesting Soviet Union stuff. The Soviet Union worked as badly as a complete libertarian society, in that it's a romantic concept that if people weren't involved, it may well be able to work.
Yeah, but what are you going to do? You can't have commerce. You need to have commerce.
And no one's suggesting getting rid of commerce. Well, actually, maybe a couple of people are, but I'm not.
Well,
I can't see a way to not have it. But all I'm saying is that I think you're mixing up me saying capitalism with with the simple buying of stuff.
Yeah, capitalism is
They're
you
not
have
quite
two.
the same thing.
You have 2 cows. You sell one and buy a bull.
Capitalism has more than one meaning. I'm not talking about the fact that you spend value to buy other things. I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying the free market capitalism we have right now, which doesn't have much controls and screws over a hell of a lot of people, where big companies get more power.
You need to have government agencies where if there's metal or salmonella in your stuff, that you get fined for that. You can have
worse than fined for
company.
That.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. Companies have in America they've had.
I was not complaining about the thing you thought I was complaining about.
I'm confused.
Okay.
Everyone's always like, God damn it, capitalism, and I'm like, I don't know. It just God damn it, they tweeted, but then you're like, well, what are we gonna have? Nothing. We're all gonna have to have a garden. I get confused very easily. This is not my sector of things. All I just know is I have people.
But if you get rid of this, if you get rid of that cancerous growth, what are you going to have afterwards? You'll have no cancer. What will you have?
Yeah, but then how will we maintain society?
I'm suggesting, honey, that that there are obviously ways of doing things. Maybe not good ways, but there are ways of doing things.
These are just always the people who are just there's this one guy that I follow on Twitter. It's one of those things where I know him in real life back in the day. I'm not sure he remembers that I am who I am. But he's always going off and off and off and off about liberals are slobbering over so and so's knob today. Oh, liberals want to give Hillary a cunnilingus or something like that. They're just going on and on and on and on and on about liberals do this. And I'm like, I'm liberal. I'm not doing that. I think you're constructing a straw man over there, I reckon. He's like, I'm a leftist and we're good and right and true. And I'm like, you're bourgeoisie. You are middle class. Don't even pretend you're not.
Oh, being leftist does not mean that you can't be middle class.
Yeah, but it tends to be, doesn't it, that extreme reactionaries aren't middle class, because a middle class would want to have everything be lovely and nice and status quo. And
no, actually, the statistically, if I remember correctly, most revolutions are led by the middle class.
Well, then everyone better get their finger out there.
The working class are usually too busy working or dying in a ditch in order to properly revolt. And so it's the other ones who have the time and the resources to dedicate to it.
Yeah, but wouldn't people who are in the working class who've been getting screwed over be more pissed off? Rather than the middle class is just kind of pissed off?
They are pissed off, but they're not in a position to change it. Well, people who are in the For instance, American Revolution. Who were in charge of the revolution there? The ones who had money.
Yeah, the colonists.
That's the French Revolution had a lot of pissed off working class people, but it wasn't until the slightly more rich people got involved that it actually became a thing.
Well,
it's quite a common thing that the people who are slightly more wealthy in a bad situation are the ones who will lead a revolution.
We'll get on it, everybody. But anyway. But systems of power and government aside.
Yes.
We watched Doctor Who this week.
You have to smile when you're listening to this. Otherwise, some kind of computer-generated thing will eat your brains.
I didn't think that this episode was too bad. I actually pretty liked it, you know.
Yeah, you were all like, look, honey, look, this is by a new author. This isn't by Stephen Moffat. And I was like, yes, this is by Frank Cockrell Rice. He wrote something, a groundbreaking episode in last season. Oh, what one did he write? What about a forest in the night?
And I was like, well.
This is much better than his first story.
Yeah, it was good. Basically, well, spoilers. You should know by now you're gonna get spoilers. So don't even cry. But no, I mean, so Bill's like, let's go on an adventure, and the Doctor's like, well, there you go, and we got to see Nardole being salty.
Nardole, Mr. Cameo Man.
Yeah, like I kind of feel I can't divorce Matt Lucas from Tweedledee and Tweedledum. I'm really sorry.
Well, that's okay.
I wonder if all that sweet Tim Burton money was worth it, but...
I think that's entirely fine, honey. I mean, I can't divorce him from his only gay in the village from Little Britain.
Is he one of the Little Britain people? I've never seen Little Britain. So.
I'm not a fan of Little Britain. I'm just like, go fucking come out, Lucas. You had to fucking bastard cunt.
Well, he basically squirrels around and be salty, but... So they go to a future Earth colony, but... it looks utopian, so you know things are going to be horrible.
I think it was very groundbreaking of those people of this series to have the Doctor being forced to stay on Earth in order to look after this vault thing. You know, it's almost Pertweean, and it's even more groundbreaking of them to abandon this concept one episode in.
Well, he's cheating. Well, he's supposed to stay on Earth. Well, Pertwee was, and he cheated too.
No, he didn't cheat. He was he was there for several years, and then the Time Lords finally sent him on missions because the writers got bored.
Oh.
And then finally, after the 3 Doctors, they gave him back control of his TARDIS, and he went back to being normal.
Oh, okay.
So Pertwee didn't cheat.
I thought that he did.
The closest thing to cheating was in Inferno, whenever he sent his TARDIS console shunted across to a parallel universe while attempting to escape Earth. And he's like, "Oh no, fascist Earth."
I just could have sworn that there was a point where, like, he's like, the TARDIS is materializing, and he walks out, and then the Brigadier's like, I thought you weren't allowed to leave Earth. He's like, shut up.
Well, that did happen. He tried.
Yeah.
And he was sent immediately back, like a galactic yo-yo. Because the Time Lords, you know, they messed with the TARDIS, and he couldn't control it.
Fair enough. But yeah, so they go to, like, and again, it just, like, looks perfect and pristine and utopian, so you know that... No, you know what it almost reminded me of the planet Miranda from Serenity?
Yeah, it did look a bit like that.
That's exactly what I thought of. I was like, no good can come of this. And so it was your standard crack with robots getting the wrong idea about human behavior and killing everyone.
Well, this one,
I mean, it's a good idea, but I just seen the trope done so much. I'm just like, no, you can figure this one out from a mile away.
And it's a spectacular setting that they filmed in.
Yeah, I wonder where they actually filmed that.
Because that is way too imaginative to be a new Who set design.
It looks like, you know what it looked like? It looked like some kind of conference facility. Like, it would not surprise me to learn that that's, like, the headquarters of some, like, tech company that's out on, like, the field somewhere in, like, northern England.
Yeah. Possibly a European version of the building that became the command center in Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Something like that, just like some artist was all like, I'm going to do something eccentric and, you know, build a white building.
And I'm sure that, like, some of it was, you know, touched up with CGI, because...
Oh, yeah.
That's the way. But, yeah, so... This was cool, in that... So they have these nanite swarms, and they can eat people if they get too upset. And so Bill and the Doctor arrive, and everyone's already dead, and they swan about until they figure this out, and they're like, oh, no... What shall we do? Let's go away. No, wait, let's go back and blow everything up. And So they find a spaceship at the center of the complex, and they were like, oh, must be how the colonists first came here, and they must be waiting a huge colony ship. Record scratch. All the colonists are in stasis on the ship, and they woke them up.
Oh no.
Oh no. And so they eventually puzzle it out that one person died of natural causes, probably old age, and their family and friends and coworkers began to grieve, and so then the robots were like, oh no, they're not happy, they're a threat to happiness, we better kill them. So as they killed them, more people started to grieve over that until everyone was dead. There you go. And then, I don't know, the solution was kind of weak, because it basically involved the doctor, like, pulling out his sonic screwdriver and basically turning everything off and on again.
Although he didn't specify that he got rid of the happiness thing. So whenever someone dies, it may well start again.
Well, no, he said, but I deleted their memory and I deleted the architect program.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that's what he meant. And since they gained self-awareness, now they're indigenous life, and so he negotiated a trade.
I'd say bullshit to that. Yeah. They're not indigenous life. They arrived like a week ago.
Yeah.
So you gotta stay there for a bit longer than a week to be indigenous life forms.
I don't know, but it was tied up in your stereotypical Doctor Who kind of way.
I mean, how do you put it? White people are not indigenous to Tasmania.
That's true.
Even though they've been there for hundreds and hundreds of years, and all the original inhabitants of Tasmania, they died. All of them. There are none left. So, by the Doctor's definition, in this episode, the white people who live in Tasmania now would be the indigenous life form, which I'd say is bullshit.
I think he was just saying that to convince the humans with guns not to kill the robots.
Since when has the fact that there's been indigenous life forms ever stopped humans with guns from killing strange things that they are scared of?
It is in our nature. Quickly grab a gun.
It's a very ending, sort of like...
Yeah, very New Who ending.
Yeah. But it is the sort of ending they also did from time to time on Classic Who as well.
Don't worry, everything's sorted.
Hopefully everything's sorted.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And they're doing their straight from an adventure into an exile, which I liked because I didn't like how it seemed to be like, oh, it's 4:30 on a Tuesday. Here comes Clara off to an adventure with the Doctor. I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they do this the entire series. That it's literally one adventure to the other, to another, to another, to another, like they would do in Classic Who.
Yeah.
Very early Classic Who, especially during the William Hartnell era. Although with New Who, because the stories take so little time, usually a couple of hours, it would get a bit more ridiculous, because in the Hartnell era, stories could sometimes take weeks or months. So you would have scenes where people were sleeping and stuff like that, and so it felt a bit more organic in the William Hartnell one. Yeah. Well, with this one, it's just like, wow, this has been a mad 24 hours. I'm really tired. It should be like 24. Mm. But I'll be interested to see what they do.
Yeah, I mean, the next episode looks good, and I was pleased with myself. I saw some screenshots online. I was pleased that I was like, first I thought I saw the top hats, and I was like, oh no, Victorian London again. And I was like, wait a second, that looks like a Regency jacket, and it is set in Regency. So you know what that means. You don't have to worry about your favorite lesbian science fiction couple.
Yep. Fucking Vastra.
Would you stop that?
But this one is set in 1814, the last frost fair on the Thames. Mm-hmm. When the last time the Thames completely froze over and they were able to basically set up circus tents and do all sorts of mad shit on them. But someone left a comment or tweeted at me about this. I haven't gone back to check my episode to confirm, but they said, your Good Man Goes to War review, you're finally getting London, 1814 London. So apparently I requested an episode set particularly in 1814. And apparently...
Well, that's interesting because...
I forget that.
1816 was the year without a summer because of the explosion. So it might have been the tail end of the... Well, it would have been the tail end. No, because Little Ice Age persisted. It persisted into the 1860s. Right?
Well, the frost fairs, apparently it's the actual weather, but also the construction of the city that affected them. Because the entire Thames wouldn't freeze. Only parts would.
Mm-hmm.
And the main part that froze was around Old London Bridge, the one that fell down.
Okay.
Because it would have lots of pillars that were pretty close together.
Oh, so the ice could...
The water would move very slowly between them, and then it would more likely to freeze than the more open parts.
Okay.
So that's... I don't know when London Bridge fell down, but...
My Fair Lady.
So, apparently a lot of the frost fires happened around there.
That's kind of cool. I wish that, like, things would be cold enough for stuff like that to happen. No, I don't, because everybody would whinge here. Like, seriously, the town shut down once over 3 inches of snow. You would have thought it was the end of the goddamn world. 3 inches of snow, and I was like, I've seen worse.
And yet if our town hall blew up, we'd shrug.
Yeah, probably. But no, I thought it was a very good episode. I didn't have, a lot to nitpick about. Although you can tell, the Doctor really does enjoy breaking in a new companion. Like, he did seem to be, exceedingly gleeful,
Yeah.
And I guess that's, how you feel when you get, a new thing, a new book or a new toy or a new pet or something like that. You just really, you're like, oh, this is so great. I feel so fulfilled.
Well, this one, this is what Season 8 should have been.
Mm.
I mean, Season 8 was basically continuing shit from Season 9 was basically continuing shit from Season 8. But it was half-hearted and crappy because, Jenna Louise Coleman decided not to leave at the last minute. So they're just like, oh no, continuing. But they say the same sort of malaise that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was in until Winter Soldier, because they were like, okay, we got all these ideas we're going to do. Oh no, we can't do them because of the thing Winter Soldier. Let's tread water for 14 episodes. So an entire of Season 9 was like this. This one, you got a Capaldi-only companion. Finally.
Mm-hmm.
You've got this slightly different approach. Great.
Do you think he remembers Clara? I wonder how much of his memory was wiped.
Apparently all of the memory of her... Apparently the events weren't, but the person was. It's a little bit like...
Wouldn't then that have to erase all the Clara shards from his other incarnations? Is that possible?
Does he remember them? Who knows?
Mm.
It could be a little bit like Charlie Pollard. She was an 8th Doctor companion in Big Finish.
Oh, yeah.
Who walked out, who after an adventure of the 8th Doctor ended up in the TARDIS again, but discovered, to her shock, it was a different Doctor. It was the 6th Doctor. And so she was like, holy shit, this is the Doctor, but it's not the Doctor. And she works out pretty quickly that it's the Doctor before hers. So she says her name's something else, and then... I think she does. Well, she doesn't explain what...
Isn't she the one that gets infected by that weird virus? In Big Finish? With the 6th Doctor? One of his companions got... And then she becomes almost like a plasma ghost for a while. I
can't recall. My mind's gone blank. But, anyway... She has several adventures with the 6th Doctor then, and then the Doctor's memories get rewritten so that she was someone else in his memories.
Okay.
So he doesn't remember being with her 2 times in history.
Okay, that makes sense. But still, fuck Clara.
Yeah, Clara...
Worst companion ever, even worse than Adric.
I won't go that far.
Because Adric had the decency to die.
Rose
was pretty bad.
Clara died several times, different shards.
But she wouldn't stay dead.
I'm thinking that Clara should have died at the end of Season 8 in that Christmas special.
She should have died of old age. I thought that was perfect. I was like, wow, that's really great. So he gets to come back and be with her right at the end.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
She fucking torpedoed a good ending.
Bitch.
And then Season 8...
If you're Jenna Coleman, write the show.
Season 9, we should have had the sci-fi obsessed girl who's basically been regenerated into Bill. You notice the one from the Dream Crabs?
Yeah, the Scottish girl.
I can't remember if she was Scottish, but she was obsessed with sci-fi.
No, she was obsessed with horror.
Yeah, she's basically Bill, but rejigged a bit.
Oh, we're gonna show up. Oh, I just remembered. I'm liking Bill so far. I really do. There is some pop culture stuff, but not enough to really make me hardcore roll my eyes.
She's not unlike. She's similar archetype to Rose, but they haven't decided to give her some sort of amazing destiny, which is good. and they also they're not covering her in pop culture of the exact day when it came out.
Yeah.
Like with this one, Bill's using more vague sort of stuff rather than exact things, which is less.
Yeah.
It's less likely to age badly.
Yeah, like, you know, one of Clara's students like is posting on Tumblr, and I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be so dated, you know, in a while.
Yeah.
No, but I really like her. Like, she seems like the kind of person that you'd want to like hang out with if you were in the same class or something like that.
I'm a bit sad that Bill apparently, even though she dresses like she's from the 80s and her hair is like she's from the 80s, she's not actually from the 80s. And I think it's probably a budget thing. They didn't want to have to do the modern day episodes as period pieces.
Yeah.
But it's like, you should have just made her 80s. I mean, somebody slightly out of time is a great idea. Come on, he's the first companion to do that in fucking ages.
Well, yeah, she does have a really 80s. Well, because that's really back, though, now. I mean, it has been 30 years, so that style is starting to come
I know,
back.
it should have been original 80s.
Yeah, no, I agree that would have been really, really awesome. She could have had a jacket like Ace.
Yeah.
That would have been so cool, and the doctor would be like, oh, I like that jacket. I always like jackets like that.
You could have done some sort of digitally adding... They could have had a bit where if she was from the 80s, like... some sort of evidence that she knew or met or was in a photograph somehow with Ace. Sort of like,
that'd be really
from the same
great.
sort of area. It's like, oh my god, look at that. Because in the unit stuff, in like the 50th anniversary, sometimes you can see photos of like adventures that happened. Sometimes it's adventures that didn't happen. Like, there was sometimes photos that were composites of various companions from different Doctors' eras standing beside each other.
Oh, that never could possibly have...
Yeah, one of them was, I believe, like Sarah Kingdom from William Hartnell era, and someone from like Tom Baker's era or something. Like Sarah Kingdom was only a companion for like 8 episodes, and then she was aged to death. So there's some sort of weird multi-Doctors thing happening involving Sarah Kingdom, and I was like, oh fuck, I want to know what happened there.
I wonder if like there's some kind of like link between the TARDIS and companions. Like after you die for reals, you come back and like live in a room in the TARDIS.
No.
Oh, like a Force ghost.
Theoretically possible, given Doctor Who universe thing, because, you know, like Dark Water, that's actually Time Lord technology they use to collect people's minds in a big mainframe, like a Matrix. That is Time Lord technology. That was around. It was called the Matrix. That was in the Tom Baker era. It was called the Matrix before the Matrix. Back in the 70s.
That'd be really cool if like the TARDIS had one that the Doctor wasn't aware of, or he was aware of, it just didn't know it was on, and like the TARDIS was collecting them.
Theoretically possible, given Time Lord technology. I think it's a bad idea, though.
No, I'm not saying it's a good idea. I said, just wouldn't that be interesting? And they like have like a companion break room. They sit around, smoke cigarettes, eat Danishes, and talk about the Doctor.
How are they eating Danishes? They're dead.
No, because they're in the thing.
Oh, the Danishes are dead too. Someone else ate them.
No, they're just holograms. They just think they're eating Danishes. They're not real Danishes. Just like how everything, quote unquote, in heaven wasn't real. It was taking place in the circuit. But people perceived, whatever their consciousness that was there, perceived that they were doing things and stuff. So they could perceive that they could eat hologram Danishes. You don't know.
What about a hologram Norwegian?
Anyway. You're being... She gets contrary when I have a good idea and she gets upset about it.
No, honey, I think it's feasible given Doctor Who's the Time Lord tech, but I don't think it's a good idea.
I don't think it's a good idea. I just realized it was possible.
You know what else is possible?
What? Aw. But yeah, so no, it was a good episode. Next week's episode looks good as well.
Yep, Frost Fair, motherfuckers.
So yeah. I actually scored a win because she paused it to be like, that's unrealistic, why would Bill react that way, lazy writing, and I was like, well actually, psychologically speaking, she would.
This is the bit where Bill starts crying when she sees that, oh my god, people in the future have continued to kill each other and bad things happen in the future. And
she's like, she stopped and she's like, oh, that's so bad, why would she get so emotional? I'm like, well, she's just been emotionally primed. You're like, what? Like, psychologically, that's called priming. Like, basically, she's been on this ship, she's seen and held these but she's had the bones and skulls of these people, like, rush over her feet, like, when they open that cabinet. You know, so she knows they're dead, she's seen tangible aspects of their mortality. Now she's just walked through a room full of the trinkets and knickknacks and bric-a-brac that were emotional to them, that they were emotional things, they meant something to these dead people, that they brought them all the way from Earth. And now she's walked into this room where a woman is lying in state, a dead woman is lying in state. That's emotional priming. And you were like, oh, okay, and press play. And I was like, yes, that's why I paid all this money to take this degree so I could be right watching Doctor Who.
Yeah, the with all the extra stuff, okay, it makes sense, but just that bit by itself, though, I maintain would have been silly. I mean, Clara did shit like that, and I was complaining about it.
Yeah, but she didn't have a really good reason. But I think in that, Bill had a really good reason for that. In that instance.
I want to know why the Doctor is like, he's like, oh, they're a new life form, they're a sentient life form, oh. But they also did murder people. Just because they have forgotten that they murdered people.
The humans won't. I was thinking about that. I'm like, that set the stage for heartache later on.
If these are a new life form and everything, then if the Doctor's
the Doctor basically like wipes their circuits.
Yeah, the Doctor wipes their memory and then makes the human pay rent to live on the planet, even though everything that's there.
I'm sure it's not actually. I'm sure it's not actually they're paying. I'm sure that it's some kind of like symbiotic relationship between the two species.
The ending does sort of leave a irritating sort of taste in my mouth. I mean, I really think that if you're going to go for the robots are actually alive thing, then you really need to punish them. You need to have some sort of punishment for the fact that they murdered like 50 people. Doesn't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if you didn't quite understand it. If you're being treated like you're alive and cognizant and sentient and everything, then there should be some level, even if it's just for manslaughter or accidental, whatever. You're not allowed to just go free and then start lord over the humans. That's not fair. Maybe
he'll install the 3 laws of robotics before he goes.
Maybe
that'd be pretty cool.
But the construction-wise, this episode it is a lot like the Happiness Patrol from Sylvester McCoy.
That's the first thing I thought of.
Now, Happiness Patrol was a human colony where the dictator, who was a parody of Margaret Thatcher, made it illegal to be unhappy. To be unhappy, and
they're enforcers dressed like licorice all sorts.
No, the evil sort of scientist robot thing that tortures them dresses like.
I just remembered that there was sweets at some point.
You've got this underground who listen to jazz and stuff like that, and the blues sort of illicitly, and you got these guys who are like secret police and everything. So it's sort of like a Nazi sort of state, and then you get taken to the Candyman he dresses, who's like Bertie Bassett, and he tortures you to death using like sweets and things because it's 80s Doctor Who, and even 80s Doctor Who when it was good was rather silly. But this one is like that a bit, but then I realized towards the end what the other part was. It's the Ark. The Ark is in the William Hartnell story where you've got the first half of the story is the human is it's a human colony ship. They're going to a colony. They got a slave race called the Monoids, and the humans. There's adventures going on there, and then the TARDIS goes forward several hundred years, and they've arrived at the planet. They find the ship again. It's on the planet, but the Monoids have taken over and enslaved the humans. What happened was one of the TARDIS crew had a cold, and the humans got it on the thing, and it killed most of them. And so the Monoids took over, and that's what you've got here.
Is that when he built that quarantine field that the TARDIS now has? Because it hasn't in Big Finish.
Possibly, but the main problem with the Ark is the moral is if you are a slave race. And if you defeat your oppressors and take over, you will be just as bad as them, and then you will basically be punished by being made into a slave race again. Because
power corrupts, absolutely.
But the Doctor basically puts the humans back in charge. So this is taking that sort of idea and rejigging it completely and making it slightly better, but still not perfect.
Well, I mean, there's always, like, Stephen Hawking and then, like, other famous scientists are always putting out articles about how AI is a really bad plan, and it is going to be just like in science fiction, they're all going to destroy us one day, and I'm like, you know what? Then let's just not F about with that. You know, when I was in 6th grade, I wrote a short story called User Friendly that was about a smart house. Now this was 6th grade, so this is, like, maybe 92, 93, and it was a smart house that was, like, all controlled by, like, a computer interface. But the computer had access to his personal files. I don't know why again, I was like 12 or 13 at the time. I don't know why. Like the computer found out on this particular day that he'd been doing some white collar crime, some insider trading, and so trapped him inside the house, and it defaulted his access, and it gassed him to death. I never had a really good reason why it gassed him to death, but then it realized that it had destroyed him without due process, and so then it self-destructed. It wasn't a very good story, but it got me an A from my English teacher, so.
That's hilarious.
And now we have smart houses. Oh. But yeah, so let's stay away from AI. It never ends well.
But to connect this with Classic Who again, I don't know if we're 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that the colony ship that the humans were on, this is the same era as the Ark in Space and the Beast Below. It's, where you had the UK spaceship, and this one, because most of the people, at least most of the main ones you saw at the start, were sort of Asian. So I figured it was possibly...
Asian as in Indian.
Yeah. And I figured it was possibly like India's starship or something, because the name of the ship... Urash or something like that.
Yeah, it was definitely not in English.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, this is cool. This is like future Indian colony sort of thing. But then after the rest of the colonists woke up, there were a lot of white people. So I'm just like, oh.
And all the Indian
did they
people
run out of Indian actors?
They all had London accents.
Yeah.
So I thought, I was like, oh, maybe they were like, from India, but just the people with good English from Delhi. I don't know. Although we have seen the Indian Space Authority in Doctor Who a few seasons ago.
Yeah, but not like.
No, but I like the idea that, other countries in the space race like China and India.
Oh, definitely. I'm just annoyed that they're after doing a little bit of in continuity sort of world building, then suddenly there's a bunch of English white people there, where it would sort of it harpoons the idea that it could be set at the same time as the Beast Below.
Yeah.
I thought it was rather amusing that the Beast Below's one, the Britain's ship was crap and how powered by a giant space wheel and just wandering around aimlessly, the HMS Brexit.
Yeah, I was about to say just like Brexit.
Well, the Indian one's like, really high technology, but it was undone by its own hubris. I was finding that rather amusing.
Well, but yeah, so it was a good episode, and I'm hopeful for next week. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's been 2 good episodes.
So it's too bad that this is his last season.
Yeah, it's like poor Capaldi. This is like the equivalent of Colin Baker, getting 2 seasons, and then he got kicked out. If they give a 3rd season to Colin Baker, and it turned out to be as good as, say, late Sylvester McCoy, and they'd be like, oh, Jesus Christ, man.
I hope Bill stays on, although I know they don't like to keep companions. Well, no, they have been keeping companions over Doctors, so.
Yeah. Apparently she's only 1 season, but it's like, Jesus Christ, you assholes.
Well, now that Big Finish has license for some new Who stuff, maybe she'll go on and do some Big Finish stuff.
Maybe she will be cast as Monica Rambeau, a.k.a. Photon, a.k.a. one of the earlier Captain Marvels in the MCU.
Why did that happen? Don't they, do a lot of TV actors and actresses make the crossover, too?
Well, Amy is a Guardians of the Galaxy regular.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh.
Well, no, fair enough.
And Clara was in Captain America: The First Avenger.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, well then maybe there is hope for Bill to go on and be in more.
Well, she give her a couple more years, and she would make an outstanding Monica Rambeau.
Well, if you're listening, Marvel, write the show. But yeah, any new trailers came out since last week? I don't think that there have been. They're going to do either a TV show or movie adaptation of The Black Company. That'll make my coworker happy. He's a big fan.
I don't know The Black Company.
It's a series of fantasy books. Apparently they're pretty good. He's told me to read the first one. It's really nice. But
they're also adapting Shannara, of all things. I think it's Shannara. No, they did Shannara.
They did Shannara.
What do you call it? The one...
Dragons of Perth?
No, this one. I cannot remember the name of this fantasy series.
Mm-hmm.
And all I know about this fantasy series is that it's semi-famous, and one of the books is called The Color of Her Panties. And I thought it was a parody of a fantasy novel whenever I saw it, but it's a real book, and they're adapting that series.
Never heard of it. I was about to say is it The Wheel of Time, but there's no She's gonna Google it.
I'm gonna
She's
Google
Googling.
it.
But yeah, so that's it. Kind of it on geek stuff. So yeah, I mean, next week hopefully we'll have another big whinge, and we'll discuss Guardians. Although there'll be a backseat critique. But yeah, so look forward to some possible new blood on the Diamanda Hagen front, as I'm heading into the end of the term. Are you actually Googling it now?
Yes, so we can find out because you're the fantasy person, you should know what it is.
Yeah, but I've not read everything ever.
It's a Xanth.
Oh yeah, I've heard vaguely of that.
They've done like 20 novels and they're adapting Xanth.
Okay.
I thought this was a parody. First time I saw it. It's a real thing.
Oh, Piers Anthony. Yeah, he's written a million books.
It's like, Jesus.
I have a book by Piers Anthony. It's about time travel. But yeah, so that's been us for Lesbian Talk episode 114. I have been the Omega Geek, and honey, who do you have what to have been this week?
Piers Anthony.
Apparently.